In this episode, I sit down with Logan Conway of Comfort Systems Heating and Cooling. To say that HVAC is in his blood is an understatement. They're located in Belton, Missouri, new facility that they just moved into last year and have done an unbelievable job refitting it. As they've grown, we sit down, we talk about what those trials and tribulations are, kind of the past of how he got to where he is, and what he sees for the future of his organization and what he's trying to accomplish. I hope you enjoy this episode, and if you're in need of really top-notch HVAC work, Comfort Systems Heating and Cooling in Belton, Missouri. We're gonna try.
We'll do. Digging it. Do I come in yet?
You know, why not, man? I got nothing to be afraid of.
Where do you want me to sit? Over there? So you can get up and do shit?
Sure. I'm hungry.
Too.
So, the paninis are fucking getting made, buddy.
All right, I'm going to close the door. That thing's recording, correct?
Yes.
This
I think it is.
Recording.
I think so. We're recording all sorts of stuff. We don't even know what we're recording, but we're recording it.
Yeah. This one, two. I think it's totally recording.
I love it.
I'm going to close this.
Sounds good.
This thing is cool.
Hi, Logan. Hey, welcome to the Panini Pod for our Beyond the Build podcast.
This thing is pretty cool.
We, after that, we had lunch that day. I went home and I was talking to my wife and I was like, oh my gosh, just had this awesome time visiting with you. I think there is a furnace in here. I've never turned it on, but it's that thing right there.
Let's see.
And then, I don't know if there's gas. Is there an electric version to it?
That might be it. No, that's water.
And I think someone said that thing has to be on, maybe.
We're going to find out.
Cool. So, after we were visiting about all these crazy ideas I had that day, I went home and I was like, yeah, Logan gave me this awesome idea that I should grab this, like take a trailer to the job sites and have conversations on the job site. And then she was like, yeah, and you should make sandwiches. I was like,
I think
oh my
that's
God. And so then the whole, like, well, what kind of trailer does a person get? Because, you got big RVs, little RVs. I had that 43-footer once, and, man, it was just a lot. I was like, nope, I want to see a bunch of big old burly dudes jam into this thing. And
I was thinking like a job trailer, like a short little, like, enclosed trailer. This is way better.
I got online, I'm like, what's small? What's cramped? What's going to be comical? And I came across one of these, and there happened to be one like 3 miles away, and so I was like, I'm going to go check that out. So I've got a very loose format for the few that I have recorded so far, and it just generally goes something like, how we know each other.
Okay.
Like, how did we end up here? So from your perspective, how do we know each other?
Well, my dad owned a Comfort Systems Heating Cooling Company.
Maybe these work also. That would probably be helpful. That's what he wants.
So my dad owned Comfort Systems, and I was young, really young, and your cousin Larry owned Stucker Construction.
And I was young.
Man, I'm trying to think how long ago it was when I first...
And I was also very young.
How long ago it was that I met you. Had to be on a job. I mean, I was probably 12, 13, running around. My dad was gracious enough to let me learn and do stuff at a young age. So, probably met you on a job there. And then it kind of evolved from there when I started taking over more of a role here at Comfort Systems. And it just evolved over time and started becoming friends and more conversations, turned from work to other things and create a relationship. So
it's pretty awesome to think, you guys have been, I think the sign on the front door of your place is 35 years you just celebrated?
Actually it is 36 this year.
36.
So March 1st.
And we're at 34 years, and I remember
yeah, I'm a little bit older than you are. Not a lot, but a little bit. And I can recall meeting your dad, of course, for the first time. And the business that we were doing and just kind of the way that Larry would talk about him. And it was just like, this Neil guy, he's a good guy. He'll take care of the job. And then time continues to go on, and we just kept doing project after project after project after project together. And yeah, you started growing up. I took different positions, and now
We're back.
we're back. Here we are. We're here together. I can't remember what it is that I'm putting on this sandwich.
How did you meet Dad? When did you meet him?
I'm thinking that it was around Cambridge Meadows. I think we were doing a project in Belton around 1998.
I remember doing that project.
And we did Orleans Place and Cambridge Meadows kind of all right around then. And whether or not we did stuff before that together, I just really don't recall. But that was it. Those were jobs that at my position I was old enough to be able to kind of run them, but I was still just labor intendant, head
Yeah.
laborer, just eyes on the job site basically. And yeah, then it was you, and then I kind of met Dagwood, Darren.
Yep.
He was one of the first people that I really remember getting to know, for lack of a better term. Yeah, and we just project after project. The pricing was right and the service was right, and we just next one. So that's what I remember kind of being the beginning of our relationship. Sorry, I'm going to be clunky through the interviewing thing because my brain can't do two things at once.
I get it.
So one of the things that I know that we would definitely want to get into is kind of some of the projects and what success and how business has evolved for each of us. I think would be a fun topic because, well,
Yeah.
you have certainly changed.
Yeah, it's
and
grown
we
a
have
little
certainly
bit.
changed in different ways over the course of time. So kind of give me the rundown on the company, like when you really first got involved in maybe the early 2000s, mid 2000s to where it is now.
So how it started, I mean, we go way back into my grandpa owned Conway Heating and Cooling in the 80s, or started in the 60s in Raytown, and so grew up. My dad broke off in 1990 and started this. And then growing up, I always joked about I did never want to own this or run this. And then, so I went to college, got my degree in construction management. I thought I was going to go work for a big general contractor, like J.E. Dunn type thing.
Okay.
About halfway through college, it was 2008. And I'd been working, I guess back up a little bit, I'd been working for Dad, in the summers. And then anytime I got a chance, I'd work for him doing whatever. I mean, he was really good about, even when I was 6, 7 years old, he would come pick me up from the house after school and let me run around with him and kind of learn the trade a little bit and hang out with my dad. That's some of my fondest memories are me and him doing different jobs and going down to Larry's original lake house and doing his job down there, things like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what piqued my interest in the industry a little bit. But when I was in college, 2008, everybody knows the crash that happened. And
boy.
When the crash happened, I watched things happen, and I was a sophomore, junior in college at that point in time, and watched the crash happen, and people were having trouble getting jobs and that sort of thing. And I saw my dad, I wouldn't say thrive completely through it, but he definitely didn't hurt. He did well through the battles of everything, and still was somewhat successful in that aspect, where a lot of companies went out of business.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really changed my tune of maybe this is something I want to do.
Okay.
That's really where the turning point was for me. And so at that point in time, I backed away from other ideas of like big construction companies, or at one point in time wanted to be a pilot, that sort of thing. I backed away from that and decided to really jump full force into this industry. And it's been pretty amazing since then. To go on from that, my dad, he got sick. He's no longer with us. He got sick with cancer. I came back out of college, about 2000, I think it was December 2011. I graduated. It took me 4.5 years.
Same.
But
True.
got through it.
Hey,
My wife got her master's in 4.5 years, her undergrad and master's. So
We all have our own pace, right?
yeah,
All right.
I was having fun. But he also told me I couldn't buy the company from him without having a degree, so I did that.
Wow.
And came back and I was out in the field for the first couple of years, still working right alongside everybody. And then he started getting a little more sick. In college is when he found out he had kidney cancer. They took his kidneys out and got a little more sick. And so I started taking on more of an inside role, or, I wouldn't say owner's role, but supervisor type role. And that's really where it started. That was 2013, 14-ish is where it really started being more of a manager in that aspect. I used to run every service call on the weekend after hours call, and that was tough. I remember getting married, and my wife said, "How much longer are you going to do this every weekend?" And then 2017, he got really sick, and that's when I say he got really sick. He was still working every day, but that was our best year together. Me and him were killing it.
You said 2017?
Yeah, 2017. We had the best year we ever had up until that point. Firing on all cylinders. We had our general manager Jared. We had Randy, that's worked for my family since 1987. And we just had a kick butt year that year. It was interesting to see and fun to do. And then he passed away in 2019, and I bought the company from my mom January 1st of 2020, and we've kind of just taken off from there.
Well, there's several things along that timeline that what you're talking about with your dad's illness, and we don't have to go all the way down that path, but certainly can visit about however much of it you want to, because your experience is going to be unique, and I'm sure I could learn a lot from it too. But from my perspectives, and just even Larry and the rest of the trade base and the people that you work with and around, it was the same sentiment, like only the good die young, and too good of a dude to, when he was going through this. But you saw this fight, and you saw this energy that he carried all the way through.
He never
that
bitched and complained, ever.
Unbelievable.
Like, he went from being I think probably 350, 380 pound man to when he passed away 165 pounds. And he never, if I was in his shoes, I would have bitched and complained all the time. And he was grateful to be alive every day still, even up until the last day. And it was pretty incredible. To watch him go through that and with such grace, where I'd be pissed off at the world if it was me, honestly. And he just did it.
It's just such an amazing fortitude.
One thing I have to, everybody talks when we work. How do you work with your dad? We enjoyed the shit out of it. Like, it was amazing to work with my dad. We had a lot of fun. What I attribute to, though, is we both had the type of mentality where work is work in a sense, and we, no matter what, we loved each other. But you got to be able to, and don't take this as we had this kind of relationship, because we definitely did not. But you have to be able to get your frustrations out, and in a sense, motherfuck each other.
Yeah.
And then 2 minutes later, hey, you want to go to lunch?
Move on.
Yeah, we never were disrespectful to each other or that sort of thing. But you have to be able to have it out a little bit when it comes to business, and then turn that off. And hey, you want to go to lunch? And it was good. It worked out well for us. He taught me a lot.
I hope you or no one else is highly disgusted by the fact that I'm
it'll
taking this cold as shit cheese and I'm just mushing it on here with my hands, because I'm tearing our poor sandwiches apart.
So that's, I don't know, I've learned a lot from him, and it was very grateful for that. Very grateful for that. I think about him daily, and it's still a struggle. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Your office, I would love to go in and show folks like the commemoration that the company has, that you have provided and your family's provided in his honor, because it's amazing the lives that he's impacted, and you're carrying that shit on, and that's amazing to me too, with your scholarships and everything else. And I want to definitely get into that at some point too.
Definitely.
If you want to go down that road now.
Yeah.
Throw these
so after Dad passed away, I knew I wanted to do something, because he, in my eyes, and I think a lot of other people's eyes as well, but definitely in my eyes as a son, thought that he was an amazing person and a big contributor in the industry, or just he was all about a handshake. I think that's, we've gotten away from that a little bit. I don't like that we've gotten away from that.
Right.
So I wanted to do something to honor him a little bit, and not let his legacy die, I guess. Legacy, or just not let his, I don't know, persona die. I don't know what it is. So we started the Neil Conway Legacy Scholarship. And my wife really, she heads that up quite a bit and does a lot with that. But what we do is in September, October every year, we have a golf tournament in his name, the Neil Conway Legacy Scholarship Golf Tournament, sponsored by Comfort Systems. And we didn't open up a non-for-profit because there's so much that goes into that. But we do it through here, and then we give out $1,000 scholarships every year to kids that are, we start with kids that are going into the industry, and then with the money we have left over, we'll branch out further. Like we've given some to going into education because I feel strongly about education. So we try to do it to people that are going into our industry first and then branch out from there. But last year we did, we had it at Shamrock Golf Course, and we raised over $12,000.
I'll be dang, that's
yeah,
awesome.
so
Man.
this year we're looking to do even more than that. So it's been great. It's been well received. I'd like to do more with it eventually, but as of right now, that's kind of right with the golf tournament year, and it does really well.
It's a fantastic time, and like I said, it goes directly to those recipients. You know, that goes into the scholarships, and you do provide that mostly for when you say going into the industry, like cast career, going into construction management stuff.
It's
it
kind of all the above. We try to start it with heating and cooling, obviously, you know, people that are going into heating and cooling, and then we branch out from there, staying in the construction industry, and just kind of tier it out, you know, and then see where we're at with people that apply.
Yeah.
We try to base the scholarship and make it easy, because like me, if I was going to get a scholarship at college, I don't want to write an essay. That's not, people that are going into blue collar industries, professions, they don't want to write an essay.
No.
So we tried to tailor it around that, and you know, model it to people that would be able to fill out or want to fill out something for that.
Make it accessible.
Make it accessible.
You're not heading for an elite. You're
you
trying
don't need
to
to
get
jump
somebody
through
who
hoops,
can.
and
Yeah.
you know, and I think we're finally starting to get to a place, and to get another caveat, we're finally starting to get a place in the world where, you know, it used to be 10, 15 years ago, you got to go to college, and now people are realizing you don't have to necessarily. You can make good money and do a lot of good going into blue collar. And to be said on that, when you do that, you don't have to. A lot of people, when you are in a white collar job, so to speak, you take that stuff home with you. A lot of my employees, got great employees that do really well. When they clock out at 3:30, they're done for the day. I mean, not saying they don't have to worry about jobs, but they get more time with their families when they're not stressed out.
Right.
And I think there's something to be said about that.
And we talk a lot about work quality of life too, and I definitely want to spend some time in that, because just the things that you do inside your organization are, well, that's a good segue into that, really. Like, you were down there on 71 Highway for the longest time, and then you got a hold of this old bank building.
Yeah.
And you took me down in the basement, I remember, and you have a workout room, you kind of got this game room, and like places for the staff to do their thing, ideas for mothers and that sort of thing. Like, talk a little bit about what sort of stuff you're implementing for your team that's helping with your morale.
I'm big on family. I don't know if I was before I had kids, but now that I've had kids, I'm huge on family. I'm big on my employees, telling them, you know, if you need to take off early to go to a kid's softball game or something like that, I don't want them to miss out on those things. There's times when, yes, you're not going to be able to make everything, but I want to try to make it as accessible as possible to people to make those special family moments. Or, you know, if we're a little bit slower, and ask for a day off and go take your kids to the park. I mean, it's not, nothing's out of the question in a sense. I know me and you had a conversation once, probably 4 or 5 years ago. We were on a job that was pushing to get done really fast. And I kind of stopped the conversation and said, you know, why are we, and not in a bad way, because there's times you got to do it. So I don't want people to think that we're not working and trying to work hard, but, you know, we're busting our butts to make, in a sense, someone else money, when why is their job more important than me seeing my family?
Yeah.
And I try to use that in every day. We have to come, we have to work, we have to make money. We're here to make money, to enjoy our family. I'm not here to work. I mean, Comfort Systems is a great legacy, but my legacy is me. You know, my employees' legacy is their family and them, and that's where I try to separate the two. I want to work hard while we're here, and I want to have fun while we're here doing it, but I also want my employees to enjoy their families. So when we built our building out, I put a gym in the basement for the employees to have access to it and can go down there and work out. We have a dartboard in our office. After work, the guys will hang out every once in a while and play darts with each other. So I'm trying to create that culture or relationship with my employees that they're not just, and I think they feel this way, they're not just a number to me. I care about them and I care about their families, and so we try to do fun things. We have ice cream socials up here for the families and them. We took all of the employees down to Big Cedar for Christmas this year.
How many people were in that? That was a huge group photo.
60 people roughly in that group
That's
photo.
amazing.
So we try to do things like that and get everybody together. And honestly, in the time I've been here, this is probably the best crew we've ever had. I mean, I'm not saying we're all complete, like, top tier techs, you know, because we have newer people, but we have top tier techs. We run the gamut all the way down to people that are still green, but everybody's willingness to help each other is just incredible. And to see the machine be a well-oiled machine and it just works is pretty dang neat.
I think that to me is the shift and growing and watching you turn kind of a sole proprietor, a family business, into the organization that it is. And I think that when I say organization, I sense like this bad connotation, like you've gotten all corporate or whatever. You've grown and now you have all these layers and all this stuff. But when I say organization, like I mean it is an organization. You have organized all these people to do great things, and you've put systems and the right feels in place too to take care of the people that take care of the jobs that we've talked many times. Like if they're unhappy at work or at home because of finance or because no time, or and we can't reach into their bedrooms, we can't reach into their kitchen tables and control their lives, but we can provide a non-hostile space for them that gives them empowerment and growth and energy, so they don't take that stuff home in a negative way. We can pay them a good wage. We can give them those other benefits. And I think seeing somebody and being with somebody, around someone that's striking that balance, from what I can tell really well, it's just another model for me to look up to, because we've all seen the other models that we don't like.
Yeah, the old school thought. My dad, he wasn't this way, but you come in work and the old style, old boy was, you chew their ass or they don't do it right, and you get the job done and you go out. And that's not how I'm trying to run my business. And I really do, and I enjoy hanging out with most of them, honestly. And so I get to go to work with 35 of my friends every day. My general manager, he's my best friend from high school, and normally that wouldn't work. And it's his personality that makes it work, not mine. Because I'm not a hothead, but I'm all over the place, and he calms me down sometimes, and I want to go spend money on something that, a new tool, and he's like, why don't you just calm down, give me an hour and I'll fix what we have here. So he does a great job with that. So the entrepreneur COO role, the business development and all the ideas, and being in that position to just let those things flow and fly, but then having that right hand man that like is your sounding board, is your safety net, going back to every great story that I hear of has that kind of dynamic. Like for every amazing leader you read about, there's always that person that is the operations, because the operations, without the huge, crazy, wild ass visions, like they stop at what they know generally. Mm-hmm. And so you have to have that innovation and push. And what I'm seeing is your innovation and push I'm not going to say that you aren't technically improving, but the industry technically improves. Sure. It's the manufacturers, it's the codes, it's those sorts of things. But then you can refine your systems internally, and you can refine your relationships with your trades and your payment and your access to information. And then going back to the training. So you're providing scholarship. What do you do internally for training? You mentioned that you have these 30-year employees, and you also have brand new ones, and you understand that those are different inputs, different outputs. And so how do you put in to get a greater output with somebody that's new, that's fresh? So what we do is we have training through our suppliers. So we can go to, American Standard, them or Brian or whatever, and they have training they put on. We do send people to those classes. But the most beneficial we've seen is twofold. We have one every other Thursday. We've gotten away from it the last couple weeks, but we're actually having one tomorrow. We call them comfort class. So for an hour to an hour and a half after work. We have everybody in, and tomorrow we're going over duct sizing and airflow. And what I do is I ask the employees, we'll have our Wednesday morning meetings that we have every week, safety meetings. What do you guys want to know? Because whatever they're interested in at that time, it could be heating season, cooling season. What do you guys want to know? And we'll kind of take a poll, and that's how we do our classes, is kind of what they want at that point in time, because they all know what they need to know, or they know what they need to know, or need to learn. So we just take a poll, and this week was airflow. We've gone over basic refrigeration, basic wiring, and we tailor it each week to something different, depending on, like this week is airflow and duct design. So Randy's going to head that up. He's been in the industry since '87, and he can build anything on that sheet metal table. So it's...
So you have the mentors and the teachers inside of your organization that then turn around and provide that lesson. Mm-hmm. So you basically, your training support basically becomes fully integrated in-house.
And I mean, on the job, I never went to school for heating and cooling. I learned from my dad. Like, say I hopped in the truck starting at 6. I remember calling his beeper, and he would call the house and come pick me up. I never went to school for it. I've learned everything just from watching. And I mean, I've been doing it for almost 30 years now. So that a lot of things that the guys learn, honestly, is from us hanging around playing darts in the evening. I mean, you'll have one of our techs will, doing an install or something like that, and they have an issue they run across, and then they talk about it while we're sitting in the shop, and then something else comes up, and you start spitballing ideas off each other and stuff like that. And that's honestly what we found is some of the best training. Is just because no one has any pressure. You go to classes at the suppliers, no one raises their hand to ask any questions. They don't want to look like
nobody wants to be that guy.
Yeah, exactly. So they sit quiet in the back of the room, and when we're around each other, everybody knows each other good enough. No one cares, and it's like, in a sense, ask the dumb question, and they do in those instances when we're sitting around the shop together. So
I think that's just culture, and somebody leads the culture, somebody has the vision of the culture, and then you have to act the culture. Yep. And that's the testament that I'm talking about, that you've taken this thing, you're considering other things that aren't just the bottom line, but you're doing it with the bottom line acknowledgement, right? Like, you still have to run a business. Yep. You yourself are not a nonprofit. Yep. And so the things you put into play still have to produce, but you get more production when you provide this other thing. And so that cycle is a self-improving cycle. It's a self-fulfilling, happy thing, self-feeding good thing, as opposed to something that erodes itself from the inside, or is a caustic to itself. Which, boy howdy, right? I mean, you just look around and you can see how many people are challenged in those sorts of positions. And so again, I think that's another reason that I believe that for 30 some years we have been together, and every now and then we would veer apart a little bit for one thing or another, but it always comes back, and it's just like, oh yeah, I remember, oh, this is why. And it's not just from comfort. I mean, it's great, but it's not just because it's familiar. It's because you're innovating your processes. When we've had challenges with your office, your dad, whoever, would sort through that. When you've had challenges with my office or in the field, like, we've always just gone, well, let's go get together and sort it out. Like, there's never been another way. Go ahead.
When we were having trouble with our heat pumps in one of the subdivisions you guys were doing, we had a lunch and learn where we came out and went over thermostats, so all of your supervisors knew what thermostats are doing on the job. So it's just stuff like that. And we've, not necessarily you guys, but other builders, we're not always necessarily the cheapest, but I've noticed, we'll have people move away from us and they come back, well, we got change ordered to death. And I'm like, everybody's got to work together and make it work. Yeah. You spend time doing change order over $200, it doesn't make the project any better. We're in this together is how I've always looked at things. So.
And do you feel a push away from that, or are you still finding enough relationships that you can navigate in those waters? Because for me, in my experience, it seems like the way the environment and the way business is changing, and the building and financial requirements, and the spreads aren't as happy, that people are getting a lot more rigid.
Yes, there is builders getting a lot tighter, and homeowners, and I think they're tightening up right now, and I think it'll come back again.
just that phase of the cycle.
It's just that phase of the cycle. It's frustrating to see because I'm not one to do tons of change orders and that sort of thing. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't work. You just put a little bit in. Not crazy. I'm not trying to make money on them either, but you
Right.
put a little in to cover that type of stuff. Things are going to happen. We're doing 150 units. Something's bound to happen.
Right.
And but it's getting to where you have to tighten up, and then you have to charge for those things. And I don't want to be that guy. It doesn't do anybody any good to sit there and read red tape. Just fix it, move on, and let's get these fourplexes or whatever we're working on sold, and move on to the next project. And so that's my opinion on it.
Learn a little bit from whatever that was, and
Yeah,
maybe
if all the subs work together, if you realize that
yeah.
we're all in this together, you guys succeed as a builder, we succeed because you get another project, and everybody moves on.
I don't know why it feels like that shift is like that line still exists so hard of the people that live in that camp and then the others. And maybe that's what part of all this is for me, is to send a signal out that, hey, there's a lot of us that think in this way. So anybody else that wants to play this game with us, come on.
Yeah.
Because it really does work. It really does
We've done it
work.
for 30
We've
some
done
years.
it and thousands of units. We count from time to time, and in the 34 years we've been incorporated, I think we're a little over 3,000 units. And Larry's got a few projects that predated the incorporation, but so we're 3,000 to 4,000 units across Kansas City in the last 35 to 40 years. Where do you think that you're sitting? I have to believe that you did. I would say half, three-quarter of those for us. So if you take that and then put the rest of your scale on it, like
Since I can remember, I'm gonna say just in multifamily type stuff, 5,000, if not more. I mean, I think we're slated this year to do high 800, probably 700
that's
doors.
hoofing.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting summer. Jared's like, you don't know how to tell anybody no, do you? And I'm like, we'll figure it out, buddy. So
That's just it. You
all
figure
hands
it
on
out.
deck. But yeah, I would say probably more than that. Actually, I don't have Dad. I don't have data from pre 2020 on that, but I would say at least 5,000, if not.
I would say you're probably pushing
close to
10.
10 is where I'm at.
Yeah. And that's just knowing even the size and the volume of crews. So for every project that you were on with me, you generally had another crew on someone else's large,
Yeah.
whether it was Parks or
Yep.
or whoever. Like we weren't your only multifamily builder, and then you still did your commercial stuff too. But just the doors of multifamily over the years, I would
say
just
probably
guess
10.
10
At
grand.
least.
And that's a lot of experience. That's a lot of units.
Yeah. We're not doing this just for fun anymore.
Yeah, right. Like
I don't need the
I think we
practice.
know a thing. We think we know a thing until somebody says otherwise. I don't know. It's so that in and of itself seems like a success, right? But is that how you measure your success? And what would you categorize your success over the last?
That's funny how because I was thinking about this, last night I was getting ready for bed and doing all that, and I was kind of thinking about how this was going to go today, and I figured, success get brought up, and I feel like a lot of people think of success as money and that sort of thing, and I have changed my tune so much since I've had kids. I don't think my success or my legacy, if I wanted to have a legacy, I care about Comfort Systems. It's like another child to me. I want to be known as a good dad, good husband, good friend. I mean, my friends are everything to me. A good boss. Like, I try to pride myself. Like, if I go out and see my employees out and we're hanging out, I've got a bunch of them. We'll go out and hang out with their friends. Hey, how do you know them? We work together. I'm not their boss. I don't want to be that. Freedom. Being able to go do what I want to do when I want to do it, in a sense, and that's what I try to instill to my employees to a certain degree. If you got an opportunity to do something fun, or go do it. So for me, it's not necessarily money or the size of this company. I think there's people that I got a buddy that owns a cabinet shop that he's running 3 guys, and I sometimes think he's more successful than I am because he's still able to work. He has a shop outside of his house. He's killing it. He is so talented. He did a lot of our cabinets in our office. And so that, I don't know, just being able to have happy kids and a good place to work. I mean, I'm very blessed for what all I have. So I don't know if that, I kind of just rambled a little bit, but
No,
it's,
I think it's perfect. It tells more of that tale, kind of the vision of what it is that's going on around here.
Yeah.
Because the things that are important to you are what then bleed in, because this is your life. There's these concepts that I've been reading and learning more about as I get a little older, that have to do, you know, I grew up watching everybody devote their lives to their companies. The connecting your identity with the company that you owned, or the thing that you did, was what kind of got instilled in me somewhere along the way. And then I took this, like, if I saw something that I wanted, that I couldn't just go grab, I would always try to figure out the path to. And so Larry and I were talking a little bit about this, and he was kind of the same way. You get the once, and so then you go to, and then you get the once, and then you go to, and then you find yourself in a spot, and you're like, well, I got all this stuff, I got all the wants, I mean, I kind of, okay, I made it, I didn't, but it doesn't feel right. And so this, like, weird thing that's missing is that other component, the freedom, the ability to go do and be you, aside from the thing. And that's really kind of this other shift in my mind that's happening, is how do you create these things that give the benefits to all, including me, that doesn't require me? Like I interviewed with Larry in, I think I was a sophomore in college, so like 1998. I had a business management class, and I had to do a report on a company, a small business. And so I was like, oh, I work for Larry. I'm going to corner him. I'm going to interview him. And so I sit down with him in his kitchen one day, and I'm like, okay, I got some questions. And one of the questions, the one that I remember the most distinctly from that time, was, well, what do you see as the future for your company? And his statement, it's still to this day, it's seared into my brain, because it was this way. It was going to be this way, because he didn't know anything otherwise. And he said, well, I mean, it's Stucker Construction Incorporated. I own it. It's mine. So, you know, when I die, I guess it goes with me. And that was weird for me, because here I am learning all these things about how businesses endure and all these structures and all this. And I'm like, but I mean, you got a thing, but you can't see past what I can physically do. And then him not having any kids, then I kind of fit that spot to some degree. So when I bought the company from him in 2017, it was like, okay, well, now this is my thing. What am I going to do with it? Am I going to create it to where it endures? And then you see the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 roll up, the same years that you were seeing those crazy successes. Like, my goodness. I mean, we went from, I don't know, 50 units to 450 in just a few years, and revenue, it's a crazy amount in the change, right? And so, and the whole way you're scrambling, you're kind of behind, and because you're picking up how it was that you operated this thing, and now you've got more, and now I got to figure out how to operate it again, but with more, and the same challenges, grow, same challenge. And now I'm like, whoa, that was why I was sucked in. That's me having to be in there, is I was, without me and without one other person, like, it all comes down. And now I'm like, wait, no, model all this stuff, prototype this stuff, put the training manuals in, actually go through the hard work of documenting the process that we've been refining for the last 30 years. Over and over and over, and screwing up over and over and over, and learning the lessons, and then documenting. We have parts and pieces here and there and everywhere, and that's what this time right now for me, as we get ready to ramp up again, that's what I'm spending it doing, is setting up a system to where when I head back out west or wherever I want to go, same thing. Daughter's growing up, got the 5-year-old, got 15, 20 more years solid that I want to spend in her life with my wife, doing those things. And I think finally getting, after 30 years of being in an industry, and getting to that point where it's like, okay, how do I create this life for me? Have you gone down that path for yourself of really trying to develop a system that it can run well in absence of
that's
Logan?
what we have I mean, that's where honestly where I'm at now. It does really well without me here every day. I mean, if Paisley wakes up every once in a while, Dad, will you take me to school today? You betcha. Like I'll call Jared or Randy or Jody and say, hey, I'm gonna be late. Paisley wants me to take her to school, and but on the flip side, I'm here sometimes till 9 o'clock at night. I try not to be, but so our next step really is documenting those processes, though, and getting them more on paper, which I'm trying to wrap my head around in a sense, because I came into a company, grateful I did, but I came into a company that's already established for numerous years, and sometimes cleaning up I don't know how to put it in a nice way, but cleaning up, not even a mess. My dad started with one person in a garage, and it just grew, running it out of the back pocket, that sort of thing. So trying to back up and get everything organized is sometimes I think it would be easier to do if you start from ground up. I don't want to try it that way, but
it's not very much fun.
No, so I don't think I'm very blessed to have been able to buy this company the way it was. But there's some things, cleaning stuff up and
Certainly.
years of things the way it's been done. It's always been done that way. Why are we changing? Is kind of hard to clean up sometimes.
It is, and I very really struggled through a lot of that even after purchasing the company. I mean, it was the old infrastructure. It was the way we accounted for and did all these other things, and then it's like, but there's a new way and there's a different way, and so having to get the right people to agree to the new changes, and that's a challenge, and then stick with it. And so you're that hill to climb that you had for sure, but it's taken you now several years, and I feel like new location, you might still have some of the old staff, and you're not going to rewind them or unwind them. However, I think that kind of dilutes as you continue to grow organically, and then you veer this way because you start today, you do it, you put this thing in and it moves the needle a little bit, and then next year it moves the needle a little bit more, and 5 years down the road now it's this whole new organism. And that's, I think, the challenge you've got. My opportunity right now that we're taking is we are slower. We're in between the big run up and the sale and the basically nothing other than my subdivision and just a little bit of stuff here before these other big projects kick off. And so that's what we've been doing, is retooling all of Builder Trend. We've been retooling what our dashboards look like, bringing CFO in to really give us better forecasting, and just all sorts of other crazy things that, to be quite honest, Larry would have said no to. Your dad would have said no to.
Said no to. Yeah,
because
sure. I would have had this building.
Yeah,
like he would have never. I don't think he would have ever gone for this type of thing. So it's it's interesting to see how things evolve and how things happen. Like say when I bought the company, I'm sure Randy was pretty apprehensive of some of my ideas,
right?
Things like that. But everybody hopped on board, and is I guess the proof's in the pudding in a sense. They hopped on board, and I failed at some things, but I own it when I fail it. I mean, I'm not perfect, and we keep running. So.
Yeah. So failing, that's part of all this, right?
We were talking about this last night with my daughter.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok or something somewhere about, you have to fail. Like to succeed, you sometimes, to succeed, you have to fail sometimes, and you have to be okay with failing. But getting back on the horse in a sense and getting back up and going for it, it's never. I don't consider it a failure. It's a learning curve, and you just figure it out and you go. I've always been the type that, with help from others, I'm not saying it's just me, but I'll figure it out, and that's how Dad taught me that way. We did jobs sometimes when he was around that, Dad, we've never done this. We'll figure it out. We're not idiots. We can do it, and he always pulled through. So
I don't even call it a failure. Your dad didn't chalk it up as a failure. People could look at it and say, you guys failed. But do you remember when, in one of these moments, way back when, some new line set that came out of Denmark or Germany or somewhere in Europe, that it was this new crimp fitting and new piping and this sort of stuff, and it was a fraction of the cost of the copper line sets at the time.
You're bringing up the nightmare.
It was a wee bit of a nightmare.
Yes, we had one of my dad's best friends was a supplier, and they brought out this. I can't remember what it's called. It was a nightmare. I don't remember, but It was a line set. It was kind of like PEX in a sense, but there was more to it than that. It had inside liner on it. And in Germany, they use it all the time. When they brought it over here and retooled everything, they got off millimeters. And we were bursting pipes left and right. And this was one of, my dad was genius in many instances, but this was one of his things that, looking back, I'm going, why did we do this? You never would have done this if it would have been for your friend in the industry. And which he's normally really was very, very smart about that type of stuff. But we had, I don't know, 150 of these things out there somewhere, and we went back in every one of them and replaced them. And I went to the manufacturer and tried to get them to help us, and not manufacturer supplier, because manufacturer went out of business when all of this happened, or fell off the planet. And we stomached it, and I chalked it up, and it cost us about $150,000, $200,000 to replace all of them. And we just, over the time, we'd go down and take care of them. I remember getting the call on a Friday, and we had sent 3 of us down there to one of the fourplexes, and man, we figured out a way, and there's all the finished ceilings to get them in there, and we got it down to a science where we'd send 3 or 4 of us down there. We got them done in about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I'll never forget that through the whole process, the company, it was Wooster, and it was at Steeple Oaks for Brian, for PC, and the number was right. Like, it saved so much money. It was such an incredible deal, and it was so fast, and all this, and when copper was being very volatile in that moment too. And so you guys come up with a solution to other conditions that existed in the market that were pain points. And so Brian's like, yeah, cool. So we move forward, and then all this stuff starts rupturing after we start turning these buildings over to Wooster. Well, they own a lot of doors, and so and Brian was starting this relationship with them. It was the second project we had done. We had done Tequesta first, and then moved up there. So this was the second one that they were buying. And it was like, oh, crap, what are we going to do? And I remember, like, at first it felt like, feathers were starting to get a little ruffled. Like the words from on high were pretty stout. And we're just like, whoa. Give us, like, can we come up and look and see and come up with a solution? And when they finally backed off, we all did. We went up there and we came up with here's how many units we can do per session. Here's the access. Here's what we need you to do. Here's what Stucker's going to do. Here's what the siding company is going to do. Here's what... And we just put this plan together and tromped through it, and it went away. And, we weren't out of the woods for free. Brian wasn't out of the woods for free. You weren't out of the woods for free. Yet we all learned that lesson of just like, okay, well, how do we... for me, it's I'm going to be a little bit more hesitant on the absolute new thing.
Yeah, for sure.
How, and then you go, well, how do you do that? And every now and then you still have to be a pioneer. And so this was the part that I recall the best, is I asked your dad somewhere along the way through it. I'm like, so how you feeling about this? And he, in different words, and he was just like, had that have worked, I'd have been a fucking hero.
Yeah.
That was his perspective on it. And that was it. Like, it was an opportunity that had he have, hell yeah.
Yep.
But it didn't work out, and he kept moving forward, and we figured it out, and you kept going. It didn't take you down. It didn't take me down. It didn't take anybody down. It wasn't existential. It was just another lesson that you go, ooh, wow, all right.
I think that goes back to what I was talking about earlier about, no change orders type thing. Not having, we all worked together in that instance, and it worked. I mean, we just made it work. I mean, that's... I don't know. I get back to that all the time with things like you just figure it out, you make it work, and the Wooster or whatever. I don't know. They were kind of they were scared. I mean, they have to be because it was their project. But we've never ran away from a project. We've got things that if I had every system that worked every time just perfect, it'd be amazing, but it doesn't happen, and that's why you get people that call in every once in a while that have an issue, and they say, well, they get up, their feathers get ruffled, and it's like, just pump the brakes. I will never run away from a project. Like, it's not how I was raised. My dad never did. I never will. So,
I think that's the part of it too. That Larry used to have a saying, and it was basically, and I think he learned it from someone. First guy with the bill don't have a chance. And that I learned, I listened to a lot starting out in my career, because he too would not allow a change order and he wouldn't send one. And so when the electrician couldn't find something that the sheetrocker had covered up, and then he Swiss cheeses a whole fucking wall, and then the sheetrocker comes back because he has to patch it and he wants to send a bill back to the electrician, it's like, which of you fuckers do you think's really actually responsible, and who should actually pay? Why don't we just take care of it, figure out how not to do this tomorrow, which normally ended up being on our shoulders of, oh wait, no, we're going to paint this on the floor now where this is, or on, like, next thing you know, we're putting into something because we're creating the system that now complies with this direction of no change orders. Stop billing each other. Just get in there and do the job.
And that becomes, for lack of better words, a pissing match, and nobody succeeds when that happens. So it's kind of like, when they talked about if jumping completely, but
yeah,
in a lawsuit, no one wins but the lawyer.
Right.
Like, so that's no one's going to win in those situations.
So this is a few things. We'll just start over like we're just now starting over. Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is Logan Conway, owner, CEO of Comfort Systems, Heating and Cooling here in Belton, Missouri. Longtime friend. I don't think that I got your official introduction out of the way, so Josh will have to just burp and move that wherever. And we are having my St. Patrick's Day paninis today. I guess, real quick, little sidebar. Panini Press works. Sandwich making, pre-making
they're good.
Worked all right. Yeah. Well, thank you.
You want to know? I'm kind of scared to admit this.
What's that?
I've never had a Reuben,
No.
and I like them.
Damn.
I've never had one.
So this was going to be my whole shtick. Is I'm not asking anybody what kind of sandwich they want me to bring. I'm just going to show up with stuff, and we're going to do something kind of like this. We're going to refine this process. But thank you for being my guinea pig and taking the time today, and being willing to have lunch with me, because
Yeah,
I haven't eaten yet. Yeah. So today for the St. Patty's Day, we got a little corned beef on marble rye. I made a little Thousand Island with some other fun stuff mixed in it. A little sauce to go on the inside, dressing. Warmed up earlier, kind of cooked the corned beef in a little bit of this Guinness. I like these. Everybody's making an NA anymore.
Yeah.
And it just, I love it. I love it. Anyway, so I brought us some Guinness NAs to enjoy with our...
Little motor oil.
Yeah, little motor oil. If that ain't your jam, totally
I'm gonna try
understood. And we got our pickles, and then I made it's kind of like a, what do you call it? Just an Irish dip. It's
honey mustard, not
it's
honey mustard.
Dijon.
Yeah, Dijon mustard with French onionish.
And it's Dijon and a little garlic and
It's good.
sour cream. Yeah. I'll bet that crunch is nice right in the microphone.
So what do you attribute, like, if you had one thing to attribute your success, what is your success, or?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm still working on success, because much like you, it's transitioned so much over the years. I think when I got to the point where people would say that I have the financial success, so after I sold the ongoing works of the assets a few years ago, like, it was money. What I didn't realize that I was going to lose is all of the things that you talk about that you enjoy. These are my best friends that I worked with, and in other relationships, and you hear people talking about, how much people work and how much time they put in. And what I've always realized was like, well, when my best friends are who I work with, and so whether it's going out after work with you guys, you're still my friends and we work together, or it was Brent or Larry or any of the guys inside of our organizations, like, it's really just fun to be around all these people. But when you make that transition, all of a sudden you don't have them. They gone. And so that was really a thing that impacted me more than what I really thought that it would over the last few years. But you know what? We are I still stay in touch with a lot of them. Like, we're still very close friends together, even though we're not always together.
Yep.
And, that was really it. Anyway, what I attribute getting to that point, honestly, was fear. And so while some people would call it success, I don't view it as that. I do view it as a lesson learned, and I see now more, and so I can take that and I can apply now the other words that I heard from other very trusted confidants before I made that transition. And so when you only get part of this and you don't know how this picture all paints, I've always been the guy that, whether it's I'm from the show me state or I just disprove, or growing up with the extreme amount of cynicism in my family and a you can't do that sort of, or no, that's not available. But then I see a Larry when I'm 5 or 6 years old, and he, we got a little boat in my grandparents' cabin, this shack, and he rolls up in this 36-foot San Tropez or 32, whatever it was, and it could have been the fucking Titanic for all I cared. I mean, it was just, and then he shows up, $500 worth of fireworks, which at that point would have been $5,000. It just, this stuff that I didn't get to experience because my parents did the best they could, but my dad was a mechanic and my mom was a para.
Yep.
Yeah, para. And so we just didn't, money wasn't in our household. And so when I would see the people with money, or what perceived had money was, it was like, ooh, that. And then the rest of the world is saying that's what you go for. That's the direction you go. And so that was what drove me. Misguided, I don't know. It got me to a lot of places that I would have never experienced if not for it.
It does create some freedom.
And that's just it. I can probably rewind way long ago, and whether I consciously made that connecting point then or can just do it now, that money equaled freedom. Like if I had it, then I wouldn't have to go to work, and you have to have it to go live. And so
golden handcuffs or whatever they could.
Yeah. But not knowing that, well, when I have this job, this is what I have to do.
I spilt my Guinness, and I want to make sure it doesn't leak on you over there.
Oh, no, we're all good. We all good. And so, yeah, I see failures as I'm harder on myself. You hear this from so many people, harder on myself than any other human will ever be on me.
Yep.
And where that comes from and why, but it has created a drive in me that, you just keep going. Whether that's, I don't know. It's all of it, man. It's all of it. And I spend a lot of time thinking on this. I spend a lot of time talking to people about this. And I'm just a work in process, just like all the rest of us. And I know too that I want to be the same things that you described. I made that conscious decision when my daughter was 3 to change a lot of things in my life because I knew that the path I was on was no good for a long-term relationship with her. So I made this decision because I do want to be a dad. Here's an example. We went out to our place in New Mexico this week, or a few weeks ago rather. Great amount of snow. I took Delilah skiing when she was 4, put her in ski school. She hated the experience, cried, didn't like it, but she loved to ski. She wanted to be on the mountain with me. I didn't have confidence. I wasn't a good skier. I've never taken lessons. All these inhibitions on my part. Fast forward a year, we're getting ready for this trip just a few weeks ago. And I know that I've lost a lot of weight. I've gotten a lot stronger. I've done things to improve my health that allow me to act differently now when I go skiing. And so before we went, I'm like, my first inkling was I need to put her in ski school because I don't know how to teach her. And then I was like, but you've always said, man, how cool would that be to be the dad who skis with their daughter and teaches them to ski on the mountain? And so I was like, well, hey, dipshit, instead of having that as your limiting belief that you can't because you don't know how, pick up a fucking book. Google Chat GPT.
Yeah.
I am an intermediate skier with no formal training. How do I train my 5-year-old daughter? And I'm like, oh! And so I went out there. I'm like, lift tickets for 3 days, rentals for 3 days. Day one,
You went all in.
I went all in, buddy. I went all in. Day one, I mean, it was just like magic. I realized what my skills actually are. They're better than what I thought. I go skiing with a guy that I wasn't sure if I should or shouldn't for a lot of reasons, and I end up taking the leap. Had one of the best 3 hours on the mountain I ever have. We are very similar skiers. He's a lot older, but he's very experienced. And he was like, "You ever done any glade skiing?" I'm like, "Oh, what?" And he's like, "In the trees." "Oh, what?" No, I see people in the tree. That's shit scary, man. I'll kill myself. He's like, "I'm not real sure about that." I was like, "Yeah, well, all right, let's give it a whirl." The best experience I've had. Like, just one thing after another, when it was like this intention. I'm going to intentionally say, I do want to spend this time on it, whether it's good, bad, and different. I don't think she's going to die. I don't think I'm going to let her die.
Yeah.
Can't guarantee it, but that was my first, like, worst case, she dies. Okay, what are the 4,000 things that have to happen that I can control? And there was a lot of them. And I'm like, I got this. I had 3 days on the hill with that girl.
I get it.
I
We just did it,
dude,
a month ago too, and it was amazing. So I get it.
I'm skiing backwards while filming her, while talking to her on these light green slopes. So again, my skills, I start recognizing like, oh my God, that's how they. If I just do this, because now I'm watching and paying attention to not just the other skiers going real fast and doing cool stuff, but now I'm watching the instructors and how they're walking and guiding these kids around. So again, I've just focused my gaze on something. I've intentionally started looking at something, and instead of the fear of, I'm going to hurt her, I'm going to hurt myself, I can't. And I ended up
Changing the mindset.
Changing complete mindset, just reaffirming this whole path of ditching fear, finding some sort of goal, intention, the why, finding a direction. I want financial freedom. I want this. I want that, and understanding, and then just taking those steps. And I'm hopeful, maybe through the course of this. I've never done a podcast.
Me either.
I never sat in a trailer and cooked a meal while presumably sending this out to tens of people that might look at it. My mom and your mom will check this shit out, right? Sure. And so I'm like, why not? Why not?
Well,
why not?
I know you're supposed to be the interviewer, but I do have a question.
Yeah, lay it on.
What is your epiphany or turning point? Because I've noticed a change since we've talked in the last year of there's a calmness over you finally. I mean,
well, that's because it's very well masked, my friend Logan. No, you're not wrong. I do have a different. I'm actually doing mindful practice. True answer, I've been studying my ass off and trying to read and look at things and then understand how somebody else got there, and then hearing what they learned or listened to, and taking those 1,000 different perspectives. I've always been relatively open-minded. I've realized with regard to certain things, I've been very closed-minded. Mm-hmm. But in general, I'm the hey, what's in here, what's over there, and always just okay,
curious.
Just curious and open to whatever that is. But just being open to it, and then acknowledging how that impacts me, affects me, and what happens up here is the thing that I've now switched into overdrive. And so, like when I'm on my trip out to Angel Fire, it's a 12-hour drive. I'm now breaking it up into 2 days. It's just me and the dogs, man. I'm podcasts, I'm ebooks, I'm whatever, just
trying to be a sponge.
consuming. And then once you consume enough of that type of information, then it's like, these patterns, and then you can look at your own life. And when it comes to the mindfulness stuff, that's relatively new, but it's exceptionally powerful to just reset and reground and then understand. It's not about controlling what's in here, because you can't. It's impossible. It's just not a thing. But to understand that when things come in here, how you process it, what you can do with it. And that's been a good, like, I got tough days. This has been a tough week. In all reality. Yeah. It's now March. I've got a contract that's supposed to have me starting on this big project March 1st. guess where we're not.
Yeah.
And it's all things that are outside of my control. Not a single action I could have done between now and 2 years ago that would have impacted whether or not I could start today. And so really just having to sit in the things that affect me that I don't get to control, and then come up with the what can I. And so you have these meetings, and then it's like, well, what I know is that I have this on the calendar, and I'm going to go do this now. And I can sit here complete, like all that stuff, that's still there when I leave here, and my mind can get back to it, but it's nowhere near my mind right now. And that's the huge shift, is being able to park stuff, refocus, stay right now in the moment. And
So
everybody says it, and be in the moment. It's practice.
It is
You have
practice.
to. You
Well, I
have to
think
try.
With me,
try.
I've just as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at it too. And you're getting the hustle bustle of work and raising kids and all that. And even with my kids at home, I have to remind myself, be in the moment, put your dang phone down, be there with them and that sort of thing. And so
Committing to that,
Yeah.
is a huge thing. But in general, I don't know. I don't want to say that I hit a rock bottom, because I'm nowhere near any kind
Yeah.
of. I have lived a very blessed
Yeah.
life. I'm not at rock bottom. But with the company and my franticness and just finances, honestly, somewhere along the way, I just kind of let it go. It became I forced myself to view it as less existential and started looking at more of an infinite game, infinite mindset, which gets back into when I did that 7 months ago. Had this kind of epiphany, if you will, of like, I was getting ready to go market myself, to go stick my hand down the gutter of whoever, just to churn any kind of income in that moment, because all of these projects kept delaying, and I felt more of a crisis. And it wasn't until I stepped back and I was like, what is the actual,
am I doing?
what are you running from? Like, all the way down to, I have a house, and our homes need maintenance, right? They cost something. And I'm like, oh, wife, hey, we got to get rid of this place. Let's just downsize. Yeah, now's the time. We got all this equity, blah, blah, whatever it is. Let's go buy this. And so we had actually gone and put an offer in on another home. Got into it, cost to repair, to put it back to whatever, just start escalating. And we're like, wait, I'm trying to jam this into the next 60 days. All the while, my wife's trying to do this in the next 60 days. All the while, we're trying to do this in the next 60 days. And while I am big on keep your plate loaded, don't.
Yeah.
I need more of that to keep me motivated than, idle time sort of thing. But it was too much. And it wasn't until the day that her and I sat down and really had a big heart-to-heart that it was like, what are we doing this for? And I said, well, it's because we live here, and you have to do this every day. And she was like, whoa, if that's the only reason? I thought it was because of money, because of this. And I was like, no, I'm trying to cure this. And it helps with that, but that's not the end all.
Yeah.
And it just, having that big discussion, going, what's the purpose of all this? And we just really settled back into, like, are there any fires? Like, what is real?
Yeah.
What is existential and what's not? What's that tiger that I feel like is getting ready to jump out and grab? Like, is he on the other side of that fence really with that lock? And like, everything's
It's your
really
own
okay.
fear,
But
like, yeah.
yeah. And so again, I was succumbing to this other fear of some unknown, and the fear of a judgment, and the fear of this. And so when I turned that corner, then that's when Gary Vee landed. And when I just, hey, let's post 3 times a day across 3 platforms, because this guy says that gets you somewhere. And now we have 750 posts worth of data to analyze. Not all of it's good.
Yep.
So what? Because if it's useful to me looking forwards, then why do I give a shit what anybody else might think about something we posted? And from my judgment point of what we posted, I know exactly why it was what it was, because of the effort and energy that I contributed to it. And so just really settling back into, what do I own? What do I not own? Like,
What can you control?
what can I control? What can't I control? What's real? What's a figment of my imagination? What am I doing that's very intentional, and why, versus what am I running from? And those things, once I started seeing what that kind of felt like internally, it's just allowed me to process differently. And I'm not saying that emotions don't still fucking happen, right? Like,
Yes, for sure.
Like again, this week's been a tougher one. There's been more emotion, more frustration, more just whatever. oh well. Like, I still went home last night and I hung out with my daughter for 2.5 hours. We played, we hot tub, we did all this stuff. Yep. I still read her the bedtime stories and she went to sleep.
And that's really what matters.
And I got to sit there with her enjoying that.
Yep.
Because I can. And part of this, to your point, you know, you hear people talking to, well, you've had success financial. I've had some financial success. Can you only talk on this level once you get financial success? You know, like, that's a question that I sit in, and I want to visit with people maybe that I want their perspective on how they live.
Like, with success, my uncle, he's passed away since my dad's brother. His name was Ronnie, and he didn't have, for lack of better words, a pot to piss in. But he always had a good attitude and was fun. And me and Jared were talking one day, and it's like, you know what? Maybe he's got it figured out. You know, he loved life. And he didn't have much stress to deal with. And you know, and I commended him for that, and I kind of respected it. He was just happy. You know, it didn't take $1 million to make him happy or be successful. He was happy. Yeah. You know, and it was kind of neat to see different aspects of success or what that is.
I have an insane respect for people who can tap into true happiness on that level, because again, mine was anchored in some other version, and that other version may have been very much because of an outside influence or what I thought other people, or what I thought I was supposed to be doing. But here we are now, and I know what future success looks like for me, and it's way radically different.
Yeah.
And it's this business development to me is
it's huge.
The future fun successful thing if I can go continue these relationships and have
you
fun
say
doing
business development, but like
life development.
In my eyes, it's relationships. Everybody's talking about, you know, but you create relationships with people. That's huge, and that's what I try to do, and that's what I enjoy about this. Like our relationship, or my relationship with Larry. I talked to Larry probably a month ago on the phone and just shot the shit. Like It was nothing, but relationships are what I enjoy about all of it.
100%. Logan, I know I have like 5 or 6 other questions. I don't even know what time it is. What time is it?
2:10.
And you're good till 3?
I am.
Well, then that is going to give us enough time to just sit here and critique the shit out of this sandwich and pick apart whatever else that I do. And then if you want, I would love for Josh, if he's still here. Yeah, he is. If there's anything else that you want to show him around your shop, we're happy to.
Yeah, we can go inside,
post,
and take a look
talk
around
stuff, do whatever.
Perfect.
Hey, thanks for eating my sandwich.
They were good.